Good evening, sock puppets, sociopaths. Welcome to another episode of Stream of Consciousness. It's good to see everyone again. I missed you guys last week. I had a week off. It's good to be back. And we did miss a fair bit. Fair bit's been going on. So we've actually got Brian is coming on the show tonight. So we're going to get straight into it for my usual turgid monologue that I know is the real reason everyone tunes in. The biggest news this week, putting aside what happened last week, is One Nation have shrunk in the polls. They've dipped moderately, 5.5% on Roy Morgan, which is always kind of a high ball, and 2% on Redbridge, 2% YouGov. And look, Andrew Bolt is saying it's the end of One Nation. Andrew Bolt's show at 7 p.m. will get less views than this stream will. So I'm gonna repudiate what Bolt said on his show last night. Look, it's not a bad thing for the polls to have some variance. This isn't cope. Like, I have zero doubt that One Nation really have lost 2% in the last 2 to 3 weeks. What's 2%? Remember, that's almost a million votes, right? It's 18 million voters. There will be probably close to 19, if not 19, at the next election. So when we say they lost like 2% of their primary, it's a lot of fucking votes, right? What does that really mean, though? Look, I've said on the stream a couple of times that I was worried about the polling results, that... And, I don't want to get cancelled by Kevin Bonham. I don't want Kevin to block me. So I'm not poll denying, but I have expressed some disquiet about One Nation's meteoric rise, even though I was, on this show for so many episodes predicting it. But in polling, the two things you don't want to see are repeated results repeating themselves over and over again, and like straight logarithmic increases, right? That usually indicates that something might be going wrong in the background with the models that they're using. And I've expressed some views around, some of the polling companies going to AI models, or some kind of clustering behavior. You want to see some variance. You want to see it going up and down. So now it's going down. So that's a good thing. It's also coming off the back of a couple of weeks where, let's be real, they fucked up. They fucked up on a couple of things. It was not a good idea to have Gina Reinhardt on TV saying she wanted to turn Rottnest Island into an Israeli drone factory. No one was going to like that. Probably wasn't a good idea to say you want to get rid of maternity leave, which... at the end of the day, is a conservative policy. It was Tony Abbott that socialized maternity leave into the public consciousness. And even though he never got to follow through with it, it's arguably the reason why everyone has followed through with it since, because he proved that it was something the public was agreeable towards. Going after industrial relations, not going to be popular. But most importantly, introducing the concept of monoculturalism into Australian political discourse and failing to define it is always going to be a problem. And, you know, in politics, these kinds of fuck-ups really aren't a big deal. In election campaigns, these kind of fuck-ups happen every single day and you clean up after them. The problem for One Nation in the last couple of weeks is immediately after these things happened, they all got on planes and went to London for ARC and CPAC. And so there's been absolutely no cleaning up on the fuck-ups. And the mainstream legacy media in Australia have been able to make hay of them, just like they've been making hay over the Karl Stefanovic thing and, you know, various other things on our side of politics this week. So it's completely unsurprising that they're going to take a little bit of a tumble from that. I just think it's a good thing for a lot of reasons. One is it proves people are paying attention, which they haven't been paying attention to the major parties. The last time we could tie a major news story to a dip in the polls was post 2019 with Scott Morrison, that time when he went to Hawaii when he should have been here for the bushfires. He got punished in the polls for that. Since then, the polls and the actual performance of the major parties has been completely disconnected. You know, they have a bad budget, doesn't even show up. They have a good budget, it doesn't show up. The public are making their decisions on who they're voting for completely disconnected from what's on the front page of the Telegraph and what's on the 6 o'clock news. The fact that a bad couple of weeks for One Nation is showing up in the polls says that the electorate is actually engaged with them and is listening to what they're saying, which is more than you can say for the other mob. You know, at this point, if you're rusted onto the Labor Party, you're not going to move. If you're rusted onto the Liberals, you're not going to move. There's probably only 5 or 6% of the entire population who are moving. So, you know, this is kind of setting some parameters around what the next campaign is really going to be fought on. Hopefully, One Nation are paying attention and they clean up on it. They had Malcolm Roberts out saying that they're not really going to give Gina an Israeli drone swarm factory, but I mean, you probably got to do a bit more than that. It's disappointing because at the end of the day, what's clear about them is all they have to do to win is just keep saying immigration. Immigration's too high. That's it, right? Immigration zero immigration. That's all One Nation has to say. This is what the Liberals figured out back in 2013 when Tony Abbott got in, right? They didn't have to get too sophisticated. They didn't have to come up with a $5 word like monoculturalism to describe the public mood. They just had to show up to a press conference every day and say, stop the boats. You know, someone asks you a question about the budget, stop the boats. Someone asks you a question about foreign affairs, stop the boats. You know, I don't think One Nation have grasped this yet, that their strength is zero immigration. They're the only party taking it to the election. They just have to keep banging that drum and the numbers will come back. Wise man said this to me many years ago, that you never fight a campaign against a word with more than 3 syllables in it. And he had some great examples for why. Like, you know, for 20 years, gay marriage was going nowhere. And the majority of Australians didn't support it until they changed it to same-sex marriage. The second you articulate something to the electorate that sounds complicated, that sounds sophisticated, the instinct is actually to support it because you don't understand it. I think a huge chunk of Australians support multiculturalism because they don't understand it. Multiculturalism sounds like something smart people thought up, and therefore it must be good. To campaign against something like that, you don't come up with a word like monoculturalism because no one knows what the fuck monoculturalism is either. If you want to fight a concept like multiculturalism, you fight it with the simplest message imaginable, which is close the borders, stop the boats, stop the planes, cut immigration, net zero. You you don't fight it by you don't fight a $5 word by coming up with a $10 word. And that's what One Nation have done. And then to rub salt in their own wound, they just manifestly failed to define what they were even talking about. And now they're paying for it to the tune of about 2 to 3%. So I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned for them out of this. You know, hopefully they learn them. I mean, time will tell. The other big thing that happened, of course, in the last week was Karl Stefanovic has been fired from, well, not fired, but he has parted ways from Channel 9. And he's now gone from being our guy to, well, he's our guy. He's completely left the mainstream media. And good for Karl, you know. I hope he starts topping and tailing his content with peptide ads, and I hope he makes millions of dollars. Good for him. But the reaction from the mainstream media has been crazy, right? They have just gone on the absolute attack. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in Australia right now, and I don't mean to sound schizo, but I think a lot of it is connected, right? In the last 48 hours, Albo and his commissioner and that communications minister, whose name I always forget, have been on a roadshow talking about even more crackdowns of the poor 16-year-olds on social media, right? And they're talking that up. They're going on the attack on the evil social media companies. Now you're going to ask yourself, why is that? And why are all the mainstream media companies so enthusiastic about piling on to Karl Stefanovic? What's really going on there? And why are even so-called conservative media outlets like the News Corporation Press, namely news.com, and Sky News, piling on One Nation, the first great white hope for right-of-centre politics in this country in a decade? Literally a decade since the last one was Tony Abbott. Why is that? And it's because the God's honest truth is we are living through the death rattle of the mainstream media, the end of the legacy media as we knew it, the end of broadcast as a medium, the end of linear television, maybe the end of radio over the long term, and definitely the end of newspapers to the extent they're not dead already, right? That's happening right now. Australia is one of the last countries that still has a particularly influential legacy media cohort. And they are hooking their talons into the regime as hard as they can to just try and hold on through a few more earnings calls. That's all that's happening right now. You know, we're not seeing a political shift now in the articulated through the media. The political shift in the public happened in August of last year, right? We started seeing it in August of last year. And I have no doubt that by Christmas of last year, most the 28 to 31% of Australians were really backing One Nation by that point. It just took a lot of them a few extra months to be able to admit it to the pollsters. But what's happening now is we've started to see the commerciality of it catch up. And these guys have realized, you know, the writing's on the wall. The end is nigh. You know, if Karl's dipping out, who else is going to dip out, right? I strongly suspect someone from the left will do it next. Now, some of them have already tried it, but the thing is, none of them have adequately commercialized it. Guys, this shit isn't, I mean, this thing we do every Tuesday is not a business. But all these other guys, for them, it's a business, right? No one on the left has commercialized it yet. Someone's about to commercialize it. That'll be the next one after Karl. And then I have no doubt someone else from, you know, maybe Sky News, maybe Paul Murray or one of those guys, they'll try to commercialize it next. You know, Caleb Bond, he could do it. He's got a fun show. He's got the right attitude. Maybe one of those guys will jump. Right? Then you'll start to see more of the newspaper guys jump doing Substack content. Like you'll see radio and TV guys doing more horizontal verticals. Like it's over for these guys. It's done, right? the accretion on their earnings is reversed entirely, right? I was looking at Channel 9 financials this week, and it's only about 5 years before Stan will be doing better than Nine across their entire stable. I mean, they should probably already be thinking about changing the name for the Nine network to the Stan network based on what actually performs well across their entire business. I think the game is up for them, and that's why they're so determined to get, to get this last one out of the door, to punish their last of their old enemies, to try and claw some cash back out of things like, social media revenue sharing. Someone said to me yesterday, I thought it was really funny. It was like, who's going to run out of money first? The entire Australian legacy media or Elon Musk? And Elon Musk is one of the smallest social media footprints in our country. Although I am the most watched political live stream on X, X is one of the least viewed, least engaged with social media sites in the country, right? But you're not gonna outspend him. He can price in any decrease in usership, right? The rest of them can too. They're not going to win this war, even as much as they're going on press conferences and saying we will win the war against the big tech companies. No one's done it yet. The whole thing just kind of seems redundant. Now, the big question is, where's One Nation going to fall on this stuff, right? Are they going to realize who their real friends are? Or are they too going to make one last hurrah to, claw back the mainstream media after a bad couple of weeks of mainstream media? I don't know. Time will tell. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited for Carl. I can't wait till he's pumping out content every week and selling protein powder and Black Rifle coffee. I think it's going to be fantastic. Brian just joined the studio. I'm going to chuck him in. Brian, do you want to put your background up before I do, or do you don't have it? Or do we want to see a blurred out Brian's bedroom? Okay, here we go.
You can just see a blurred out my bedroom with my whiteboard of blurred out insane scribblings. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good, man. It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you on the show in a while, although you and I have been talking recently because there's been a lot going on. Where's your head at? We always like having a Marlowe reality check, a Marlowe black pill to start the show when you do come on. Is it over? Is it totally over?
I'll start the dooming. Look, I think a lot of people are sort of saying it's over for One Nation. I saw Andrew Bolt was saying that on Sky News because of these three latest polls. No, it's not. And I guess if you're to the right of One Nation, that's a black pill for you because you're waiting for the resurrection of Hitler or something like that to come back.
Yeah. We've got a lot of that. We don't have any of them in the chat tonight yet, but that's because I haven't boosted it yet. So I got to boost the chat so they see it on their non-blue ticked accounts.
We've been saying this for a while, and albeit with incorrect assumptions. Where a while back we were saying there is going to be a point at which One Nation hits the ceiling. We don't know what that number looks like. I thought it was probably 20%. I was completely way off with that. But where they're at the moment is they're hitting a ceiling. And my gut feel, having not really looked into it at a detailed level, is that this is like the ceiling that they're currently at is where you get to when all you have is grievance politics, right? And that's not a spite against One Nation. There's this weird thing in One Nation I've noticed at the moment where for a lot of people who are actually supportive of the party and want to help the party and want to see the party succeed, part of that means that sometimes they're going to give you advice that actually tells you how you can improve or things that you can do differently to get over the next hurdle. And there seems to be a bit of a terseness in response to that. So I have to do all this fucking bullshit prefacing because I'm here saying, hey, look, you've hit a ceiling because you've only ever engaged in grievance politics. And it is only going to get you so far. You need to now paint a picture that is proud of your people, proud of its culture, proud of the people who actually built this nation, and then paint a picture of what the future looks like, right? And they sort of dipped their toe in the water when it came to monoculture. And I think you and I and a bunch of others were saying monoculture is going to be the buzzword that comes out of the National Press Club, and it was. The problem, though, is that they didn't define it, right? So if you're going to throw that out, and it was purposefully included in that speech, if you're going to use that as a rallying cry to, try and bring people in under, you have to fucking define it. And they haven't. And
exactly. And if you want to talk about like attempts at shoehorning in kind of fash signaled $5 words into the Australian media discourse, I mean, fucking Matt Canavan did a better job of defining hyper Australia than the One Nation did defining the monoculture, right?
Yeah, so exactly.
There's still time to fix it, but I mean, if I was them at this point, I'd probably just ditch it and come up with something else. So they've still got time,
But also, just if monoculture is not working right because you can't define it, or if defining it means that you're not comfortable with it, because at the end of the day, a lot of these people are boomers and they are Gen X. They're not our guys, right? And if defining monoculture is something that's going to upset the boomer waff and the Gen Xers, well then, okay, politically you're going to have to pivot away from that and move with something else. And at the end of the day, then you got to keep it simple, right? Migration zero migration. We're going to cut migration. Migration too high, right? And and then how do you paint a picture about what it looks like when migration is zero? That's what you need to talk about, because right now, it's a very nuanced difference. The language is housing is too expensive. Okay, so if migration zero, what will housing cost? Do you have estimates? Have you done some modeling on this? I know we're getting in the weeds here, but this is how you paint a fucking picture so that people have something to aspire to and work towards. And I'm using housing as one example. You obviously don't want to tie migration to housing supply for obvious reasons, but it's an example of being able to point to different areas where people are struggling and saying, okay, you've given us the mandate. We appreciate that. You're frustrated. It is no longer enough to merely be frustrated. We now need to show you what a future looks like, right?
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you're telling you to fuck yourself.
And we've been saying for ages, right, that immigration is a fix everything switch. It's like they don't kind of get that. It's like they felt this need to layer on something else. And, they've been gloating for so long about how all the Liberals are following our policies. But the whole monoculture discourse is really kind of them following a Liberal policy, because this is what Taylor tried to do, and he failed, right?
Yeah.
He tried to reframe immigration about, it's actually about the values. And it completely fell flat because, again, he was just revisiting old Howard-era canards of we're going to make them read an oath and... learn to do like first year English or something. Like they're now following from that and saying, well, if you want a monoculture, you have to have some idea of what it is. Now, personally, I don't think you have to have some idea of what that is, right? Because I mean, I believe that the only thing that really truly matters in a society like ours or anywhere is what's the monoculture of your ruling class, right? What working people, what the middle class believe at the end of the day, and it's, it's not popular to say this, but it really doesn't fucking matter. For 1,000 years, the monoculture of Western Europe was French. Like, it didn't matter what an Anglo-Saxon or a Celt or some fucking bog person from the Baltics or a Spaniard, it didn't matter what any of them actually believed. The bosses were French, right? For a significant chunk of our history, everyone was English. What the ruling culture is what matters. And what One Nation doesn't seem to grasp, because they've spent so long, so far from being in charge, is they're having a debate about what the elite culture of Australia is and communicating it to the bottom end, which doesn't matter. Right? Our elite culture in Australia is multicultural. Our elite culture in Australia is globalized homogeneity and gay race communism. That's what you are trying to replace.
That's what you need to change. Yes.
If you are earning minimum wage, whether or not you believe that everyone should be eating banh mi's and race doesn't matter and what language people speak doesn't matter. Whatever you believe about that doesn't matter. What matters is what the people in charge believe. And One Nation haven't grasped this. They are not campaigning to define working and middle class culture in Australia. They are campaigning to define elite culture in this country. Because if you win, you're the elites, and your culture is elite culture. So until they get that through their skulls, they're just going to be floundering around talking about Norman Gunston and Paul Hogan. I mean, who the fuck cares, right?
Yeah.
What matters is what the people around the cabinet table believe.
Yeah,
and
they're misplacing the importance of grassroots activism, right? So like, there's this weird, and I used to be convinced by it when I was younger and a lot dumber and very green politically about this whole grassroots up change of the system. And at the end of the day, that's not how you do this, right? And
no,
I was actually having I was late to this because I ended up going on this fucking tangent in a WhatsApp chat talking about, no, you don't abolish the ABC, you fucking take it over and then you run your own state-run propaganda.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm talking about elite culture, right? We're not in a fight to convince some dude swinging a hammer in high-vis to believe something different. We're in a fight to change the beliefs of the people in the universities, the people in the newsrooms, the people around the cabinet table, the people around the boardrooms, the people in the C-suites. That's what we're campaigning to change.
Yeah.
What Joe Bogan and Stacey Kmart believe in does not fucking matter at all. And so at that point, you have to ask yourself why you're trying to convince Joe Bogan and Stacey Kmart what the fuck a monoculture is. They don't care. They don't care.
They don't care. It's noise for them. And this is why you start hitting this ceiling, right? And again, I got to keep prefacing this because a lot of One Nation guys keep getting their fucking back up when people are trying to offer helpful advice. Like, we want you to win. We want you to succeed. So calm the fuck down. I need to now say this. You need to change how you're campaigning. You need to focus at a completely different level, because what the party is now entering that phase where everything to them sort of seems like manifest destiny, and like how they've actually been the political geniuses for the last 30 years and no one else knew it until one day, all of a sudden, everyone woke up and now they're at 30-something%, right? No, that's not
29, 28 today.
People are voting for your party because they feel like it is a rebellious act, and they're rebelling against a system that is fucking them, and they're giving you their support, and they're giving you their support and their vote potentially because they are hoping beyond hope that you fucking do something, right? Yeah, and the moment they feel unsafe, the moment they see David Farley go out and vote for the wrong fucking bill, the moment they think that things are not being taken seriously, is the moment they will walk away from you, because rebellions are not held together by an underlying ideology. They are usually held together by fuck the system, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not taking it seriously, not making these people feel like what they're doing is safe, they're going to walk, and they're going to walk fast. So just as quickly as you built the support up, you're going to lose it.
I think you and I were talking about this morning. Like, you know, so much of this is happening because out of a massive vibe shift around immigration that starts in the middle of last year that could have gone anywhere, right? And I think there was a moment last year where the public was sitting there going, well, who's our great Apollo that's going to come and save us? And guys like you and me and all our Tweety friends and all the people going to the conferences, we're going, oh, yeah, we're going to start something. We're going to do something. And we're all writing Substacks about it. And no one fucking did anything. And then the public just goes, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going with One Nation because they're there. Like, they're already in field. And, you know, like, I joke about this.
Stood around reciting their favorite Bowden quote, but they didn't actually fucking do something.
Yeah. I'm like posting me shimmer memes, and you know, including us. We admit it. We're the biggest offenders of this. We started this whole show to do it. But, you know, and I know, and like when I don't think we won't actually get into some of the big kind of like internal One Nation gossip of the week. We might get into it next week when the dust settles. But like a lot of people, like our kind of peers, are frustrated that One Nation doesn't listen to us, and One Nation isn't letting us in the door. Well, of course not. One Nation have said very clearly to everyone, first preference goes to those complete psychopaths who stuck with them when they were at 5%. Now, look, is it the most intellectually sound strategy? No, but you can't fault their loyalty, right? There are people within One Nation who toiled away when they might have been able to have better opportunities elsewhere, but continue to toil away while they were going nowhere. And One Nation have decided that, they want to, reward their friends, and they don't want to cast the net wider to anyone else. Good for them. I don't think that's a massive issue, but we're partly to blame for that. But also they have to understand there's going to be consequences for that, and they need to kind of accept they have to learn from their mistakes as they go on. Like the Gina thing was just a massive mistake. I mean, go back through the entire history of the major parties and try to name one time where you've ever seen the leader of a major party standing next to their biggest donor while their biggest donor says all their dumb shit that they believe in. It's never fucking happened. In fact, most Australians probably don't know who the biggest donors of the major parties even really are, let alone what they want. There's a reason why your biggest donors are their biggest donors. It's because their opinions are incredibly unpopular. If Gina's opinions were popular, she wouldn't have to donate. So in what universe did anyone think it was a good idea to take this woman with these incredibly unpopular opinions and put her on TV with you standing next to her and effectively passively endorsing the opinions? That is a valuable lesson that One Nation have now learned. They've now learned the lesson that
right. Malcolm did what he always does best and handled it, quite quickly and appropriately. But I hope that these polls have spooked them a bit, that they realize that they cannot assume that everything is just going to come their way, and that they now need to change some of what they do, right? And
absolutely, Well, I think the most important lesson for them is that they're now in a campaign, and just like in the kinds of campaigns you and I have worked on, like you have to, it's an everyday thing. Like you get up in the morning, you say stuff, sometimes you fuck it up, then you go out and you clean up. Like it's like, I think One Nation are used to, no one pays attention to them. So maybe they make a statement once a week. No one actually runs it. And so even if they say something dumb, they don't have to clean up on it. Those days are over. Like they need to now treat
that was 20% and below days, right?
Yeah, now they have to treat every single day like they're in an election campaign. And I get that they have staffing difficulties and they don't have resources or whatever. But this goes back to that point about, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, hey, we're only going to listen to the freaks who came on board when we were a political curiosity, but also try and run a professional political operation. You have to, you have to bring people in and let them help you fix it, right? And they've got a couple of good guys that have come in, and like mercenaries, which is a good thing, which I think is what they need right now, because the last thing they need is more true believers. So look, we'll see where it goes. I think the chat is going to want us to talk about more redeeming at some point.
Well, is Skull going to jump on, or we don't know?
No, I think when you said you were going to come on, that Skull decided he wasn't going to come on.
No worries. Skull I think is Moira's number one fan. But
more redeeming headlock Royper.
I guess, people already know we don't really need a context capybara this, right? Like, Moira was at an event. Matthew Guy touched on the back of the neck. She claims that it was aggressive and inappropriate and called it a headlock, I think. And then
it turned out she didn't know what a headlock was.
Yeah, then it turned out that it wasn't a headlock, as evidenced by the footage, and that her definition of headlock was sort of what would her definition of headlock is as loose as the definition of women that trans rights activists use, which is kind of ironic given Moira's past.
I don't know. Like I watched the video and it does look aggressive. Like he gets in there. Like he gets in there. Like, you know, I mean, look, I avoid touching women just at the best of times. It just never goes well. And especially you should never touch a woman in public either. Ever.
I think like for every single person watching this show, there is no exception to the rule in this case, which I can say confidently. You were too ugly to touch any woman without it very clearly being outlined that you're allowed to do. Let alone someone who's married with kids and all that kind of stuff, right?
You just don't grab a woman intimately by the back of the neck and whisper to her unless you're in a Japanese slice of life romance anime and it's like the last episode where you finally confess your feelings to each other. Like, unless it's that, you certainly don't do it in the middle of a Macedonian ethnic function while they're doing the dancing. That was the most surreal thing about it. It wasn't like Matthew Guy going, listen to me. Like the most surreal part was that there's Macedonians dancing in circles while it happens.
Exactly. So look, you know, I'm still Team Moira, but I just the biggest fuck up is her definition of headlock, right? And I get that at the time she was probably stressed, it hurt, you know, all the things that she's been saying. I totally understand that, but you know, Moira, if you're listening, you just need to accept that it was a mistake to use that term, and they're going to try and screw you over because of it, right? And I agree. Don't apologize. Like, don't play by their terms. Don't give a full apology like what Matthew Guy and Jess Wilson are asking for. Right, just go to ground. But fuck's sake.
I think something did go on in the background, like the whole her going to the cops thing. Like that was weird. Like if I was working for Moira and she said do a hatchet job on Matt Guy over what may or may not have been a headlock, what I would have done is I wouldn't have gone to the cops. I would have taken the CCTV and I would have put it out there as ambiguous as possible. Like it's impossible to tell what's really going on there. And I would have just tweeted it and said, do you think this is inappropriate? And I would have let a million freaks online pick over it and then make AI edits of it and then have the whole country debating whether or not some grainy footage from a Macedonian dance circle is actually problematic, and then only at the end of that say something when everyone's kind of in a frenzy about it. But for some reason in this case, she's gone to the cops first and said, can you look at this CCTV of him, you know, touching my neck and is it an assault?
Like, and then a cop with 100
that's weird.
That's not a headlock. No charges.
I mean, the average Victorian cop knows a headlock when he sees it.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's only a headlock if it comes from the headlock growing region of Spring Street for those guys. So
yeah, look, it's a tactical fuck up. I'm not sure what happens. Like, I'm not sure what happens to her from here. Right? It seems like I don't get the sense that One Nation are keen to bring her on board.
Well, that goes back to our point about the One Nation really want any more ring-ins. Who knows? I mean, look, Moira's good though. The only thing is, and like out of the whole cohort of like, I mean, there's the left call them TERFs. Out of all of them, like Catherine Deves, the Giggle Woman, like that whole, you know, swamp of, you know, anti-trans nonsense. Moira's the only one I suspect is like legitimately conservative. Like Catherine Deves has all this conservative cachet. There's not another conservative bone in her body. She just doesn't like transsexuals. But like you get her talking on like abortion or immigration or anything else, and like she's just indistinguishable from a teal, you know.
Oh, really? I've never really dealt with her on anything like that, other than the trans stuff.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like they're just obsessed with the trans stuff, and it's creepy and it's weird, and no one serious wants to talk about it. Look, Moira kind of just stumbled into the trans thing. I think. Yeah. I don't think that was her kind of ballywick in the beginning. I don't think that's what she got into this whole thing for. But then, I mean, after the whole protest within proximity of Nazis, she, I guess, just kind of got roped in and had to be the, avatar for turfism.
Yeah, she's an admirable person in that she's got guts and she doubles down. You could
the doubling down is the most admirable part.
You could almost call it Izzat. And I think we were joking the other day. Yeah. If you told me that out of Moira and Dinesh Gorasetti that Moira had more Izzat, I wouldn't have believed you, but now I do.
Matthew Guy looked pathetic in that press conference. Like, it looked like, what was it? It was like that one of those Little Britain press conferences where the politician comes out with his family crying and says, "I only installed Grindr so I could figure out how to uninstall Grindr." Like, he just looked so lame. And, I feel like Moira, maybe like someone gave her bad advice about what you should do in that situation, because she didn't say anything for a couple of days. Like, maybe she thought, it's one, like, you've got to let the police do their work. That's bullshit. That you don't you just say whatever the fuck comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, talk about how you.
Someone should have defined headlock for her though.
Yeah, exactly. But Moira, if you're watching, Skull sends his regards. He can help you. He can save you if you need saving. But serious hat on. I don't know what the next step is for her. Right, like the Libs are going to purge her. She's pretty much cooked in that regard. If she's not going to be able to join One Nation, then that's probably it, right?
I would say though, if Moira Deeming ran as an independent in the upper house in Victoria, I mean, with a handful of people, I still don't know how the upper house group ticket things work, but like, I feel like she could pull it off just because she's got such high face name recognition in Victoria for people on the right. And, we don't know which, we've seen one bad poll for One Nation. We don't
tactically voting like that in Victoria. And what I mean is, like, Fiona Patten always managed to get in by getting lefties to do this weird sort of tactical voting, right? That just got her in time and time again.
Yeah.
I don't know if people on the right are good at that.
They're going to have to be. They're going to have to be good at it. But, I don't know. Look, maybe I hope she sticks around, but I don't know whether or not, like, she's necessarily even the right fit for One Nation. One of the interesting things about One Nation that we've seen over the last few months is, like, the Christian lobby, like, not the Christian lobby, but like the Christian electoral lobby. So the guts of Family First, the Christian Democrat Party, it's all just died. It's died spectacularly, like it's gone. And I suspect that a lot of it went to One Nation.
Yeah.
But like, as we were talking probably last week when we didn't have the show, like, we're starting to see so many commentators from the Christian side come out and attack One Nation over their position on abortion. That, is there room for Christian conservatives to kind of carve out their own 4 to 5% niche like they traditionally had? That would be a very ideal set of circumstances for winning government in coalition if you had the Liberals on wherever they land, which will be, sub 15%, One Nation in the high 20s, and then you had a really kind of focused niche
5%.
4 to 5% Christian, like Christian political operation. Because most elections, back when One Nation was in the doldrums for so many years, the Christian parties generally did. Actually, if you tallied them up, there would have been campaigns, those campaigns when both Christian Democrats and Family First were running, you would have had campaigns where the combined Christian vote was like 6-7%. That's what do the kids do when they say 6-7?
I'm not going to do it.
6-7%.
There you go. Yeah, I think you're right. And I'm going to commit seppuku as a hardcore pro-lifer who thinks that abortion should be banned and all that kind of stuff. I agree that at a federal level, the abortion campaigners need to shut the fuck up and go home.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
ingratiate yourself with right-wing parties at a federal level.
Yeah.
Go as nuts as you want at a state level, right? Like, run around with Ruddock, run around with Sarah Game down in South Australia, push whatever you can to try and make a meaningful difference down there. Absolutely be at the front end of the issue to try and engage more people and change their minds on the issue. 100%.
Yeah.
Stop doing podcasts with Pauline Hanson where they're getting to the pointy end of things and they actually need the female vote. And right now, unfortunately, the vast majority of females don't share your position, and they're not going to do it anytime soon. And I saw some content from the pro-life people saying, "Oh well, Donald Trump, was strong on abortion and didn't walk it back." That is actually the opposite.
No, he fucking wasn't. Like
he literally told pro-life organizations to shut the fuck up so that he could win the election. Right?
Yeah. Well, I did that whole effort post on it last week and said I actually got a message from the guy I was retweeting, that guy who went on the Turning Point, the Turning Point podcast with Joel, and he messaged me.
He's like a nice guy.
And he said, he seemed like a nice enough guy. I mean, he said he'd come on the show. I mean, this is a busy week for everyone, so we can't really do much this week. But I'm going to send him a message, and we might get him on next week to talk about it, because I do think it's really interesting. And not just, look, I mean, I don't want to just get hung up with a guy like that just talking about abortion. I just think the family values stuff is interesting, full stop. And, like, it feeds into some of those own goals that One Nation made. And, like, I think you retweeted this, that I said that, rather than going after abortion, go after the reasons why women feel like they can't have babies, and so much of it's economic.
And
right?
this actually came out of a discussion with my wife, who's hardcore pro-life as well, and she was basically saying the same thing, which is, when you're running around just screaming at everyone and pointing your fucking crucifix at everyone's vagina, abusing them for all the cummies, some of them, even if they're actually amenable to pro-life arguments, are just going to switch off, right? But if you package up solutions for them, saying, hey, like, what are some of the things that make you consider putting your baby in a blender? They'll say, well, I'm not sure if I can afford to have a kid. I live in a rural or regional area. I don't have support networks and all that kind of stuff. Well, a populist party should package up things like that to alleviate those concerns. And, fiscal conservatives will get pissed off about this because it's, state sanctioned.
If there's any of them left, I mean, are there any of them left?
yeah, right. But they'll get their back up about this, right? And my argument is, if fiscal conservatives are angry about a pro-maternal, pro-natalist set of policies by a right-wing party, that's a good sign. That is a good thing. That is how you know that it's going to resonate with people out who are amenable to potentially not killing their babies. So look, we can wax lyrical about it for a long time. I don't want to bore the audience, but there's different ways to do this.
There's nothing we can do to bore this audience. They're masochists. I mean, speaking of masochism and tying into reasons you can't have babies, I guess we should talk about Anthony Albanese's anal tearing episode.
Well, okay. Now I'm going to commit bloody sort of online incel groper seppuku.
Let's get into it.
Whilst he boomed it, right, and like, it was the weirdest delivery where it segued from, like, being on Facebook to getting your bum ripped. Like,
it was right. It was true.
He's right. He's actually touching on something that's a real issue, and not to get us cancelled, so I'll avoid the swearing. But younger people are complete freaks. Younger females are complete freaks in bed. And it is because
probably the dudes are too. It's just we don't have sex with them.
The dudes are worse. The dudes are worse, and it's actually the. I'll get to the dudes in a second. So the women are complete freaks, and this is because their brains have been rotted by porn, right? Yeah. So they grew up. They've been watching porn. They've been seeing things that happen in porn videos. They don't have proper sex education, and because it's all just rainbow flag, Yumi Stein's books, like it's just corporate Memphis clip art, like exactly right. And so then they actually start getting sexually active, and they start doing some of the things that they saw in these videos, and they get injured because they're not doing it right and they haven't warmed themselves up to it and all these kinds of things. So these things actually are happening. There is anal tearing. It is increasing, right? And something has to be done about it. And it's going to piss off the libertarians. You should ban porn. You should get pornographers and deal with them, right?
Yeah.
So it is. People are going to lose their mind when they see this clip, but yeah, he's completely right about that. Then we get into the guys side of thing, the younger guys. They are freaks in that everything they see from porn, because they watch it way more than when the girls do. They are at the point where if the girl isn't trying to do the things that they saw in a porn video, they can't even get it up. This is a known thing amongst Zoomer males, is that like their erectile dysfunction rates are actually quite high. I'll have to find like the reports and the studies on this, but it is a known issue. And what has ended up happening is these younger girls start going for older guys because at least the older guy can have sex with them. But they're coming as a freak. Well, excuse the pun. They're coming at the older guys as a freak. So it is this complete perverse outcome that is happening. Some people may benefit from it, but it is a net negative. And yeah, Albo's right.
The only reason older guys are able to do that, and I'm just spitballing here, but it's because Cremagra exists, and you can only do it a few times before you go for the full Shane Warne. So it's not really a long-term strategy. No, but you're exactly right. And look, I was thinking about this. I think I posted something about this the other day in the context of gambling, and like gambling advertisements and things like that. We need the regulatory like framework needs to be about making things rare and making like life's most pleasurable vices like intermittent experiences and not things that you can do every single fucking day until your brain rots, right? Yes. Like I don't care about gambling advertising. I just don't want like a generation of young Australians to be sitting there on their phones being able to punt every single second of the fucking day. If you want to punt on the horses, on the dogs, on the trots, put on a suit. Girls, put on a fascinator, go trackside, make a day of it, get sloshed, put some punts on, support your local SP bookie, right? That should be totally legal, effectively deregulated. But the idea that you can do it 24/7 in the palm of your hand is bad. It's the same with sex and porn. Like
you might have been
go to a sketchy warehouse in the ACT and buy a bunch of DVDs. Like, don't have it on your phone all day.
Exactly. Right. Go to the goon shop, buy Backdoor Sluts 9 or whatever you want to watch, and have fun. Right. I think the gambling thing is actually something that we really should unpack, which is you might have been doing it too at the same time as me, but about 5 or 6 years ago, just before COVID, the government was trying to crack down on pokies and crack down on gambling inside pubs and clubs and all this kind of stuff. And I was talking to MPs saying, well, hang on a second. Like, we all agree that someone with a pokey addiction, okay, they need to be helped, right? They already actually are. The industry pumps a bunch of money into that space. Problem gambling is on the phone now. So what are you doing? There in sports bet.
I mean,
stuff, right? Like you're sitting there trying to crack down on local pubs and clubs who use those systems to prop up their venue. But at the very least, someone has to go out and they have to go to a place and potentially socialize, and they may actually have a circle of friends. Even if those circle of friends are partaking in something that you disagree with, it is still better than if they're sitting at home just gambling away their fucking lives on a phone, doing Candy Crush, but with gambling.
I've worked with the casino industry, and I've actually seen the modeling on various permutations of pokey limits. And like, if you took, like, this is such an easy fix that every government should be doing, is wipe out the 1 to 5 cent bet on every single poker machine, every single aristocrat poker machine in the country, right? So that if you sit down at a poker machine, there's a minimum slap, not a maximum slap,
Yeah.
And if you fix the minimum slap above $1, it's still a day out. People are still going to go out, but they're going to lose the same amount of money faster. And then the profit margins for the pubs and clubs stay the same because of how many staff they have to put on to service them. But then it becomes like an event, and it becomes a bit more like richer people start doing it, right?
Yeah.
You change the whole game with the limits. Instead, what they've done is gone the other way, and they've tried to push the limits down. Like if there's no limit on them, then a problem gambler is going to go in, and like they have these machines in Vegas. I think the biggest slap I've ever seen in Vegas was like, I think it was like $900. So you could pump in, I think you could put in like 50 grand into a machine, and you could do about $800-900 on a slap. Like if you just did that, I mean, someone would go in, they put their entire Centrelink check in, and then press the button and then leave. Like, so they're not there drinking. They're not there, like they're not just like wasting their lives. Sure, they lose the same amount of money. The overheads shrink. Like, there's heaps of these things they could look at in a more sensible way, and then look at the phones and go, you know what, we just don't fucking need that in Australia. We have a really robust and really strong trackside betting sector. We have, you know, an amazing thoroughbreds community, amazing greyhounds and standardbreds community. Put the betting there, right? If foreigners want to bet on it online or in pubs, or, you know, have the tab or whatever, but just get it off the fucking phones. That's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
no, I fully agree. Jack Lance is losing his mind. He's saying if we inadvertently end up getting US political betting banned, he'll never forgive us.
Well, but you know what? Like, I mean, the best, they've already banned Polymarket, and these kinds of things, if we did kind of unwind them a little bit for the majority of people, Polymarket's something we could conceivably have back in Australia. And like online casinos would be something we could have back. But you just have to invert the calculus where don't put in bet limits, put in bet floors. So that way, the problem is the habitual nature of it. And the betting companies love it. They know how this stuff works. They want you to just be betting a little bit 20 times a day because they know that over the length of a week, of a month, over the lifetime of your account, you're going to make more money. Like, they hate gamblers like me that'll just take $1,000 and walk into a casino, and maybe they win 10,000, maybe they lose it all in 30 seconds. They hate that. Yeah. That's the thing they hate the most, right? And actually, I mean, I was speaking to a few like serious gamblers in the last couple of weeks have been telling me that across the country, like the threshold for getting I can't remember the word for it, but like if you're playing on the tables and you're too hot, casinos are actually within their rights to stop taking your action. And so it happens a lot on baccarat tables and occasionally on blackjack tables, but very few. Like, it doesn't happen on roulette tables and things, but like particularly on baccarat tables, if you're like super hot, then and maybe they saw you come in and you put down like $500 and you've got like $50,000 in front of you, they'll tell you we don't want your action anymore, and it's like a 24-hour ban. And it has no consequences. Like, you can come back after 24 hours, no one minds. Actually, it's not even 24 hours. Like, the tables open at about 5 at most casinos. So it's generally just until the tables reopen the next day. But it used to be this like really rare thing that people would brag about. And like, I know guys who go to like poker games and stuff who show off their tickets that they get from the casinos when it happens. But like, it's happening all over the country at a really high rate now. Because I think there are so many guys gambling, losing so much money that they can actually afford to kick the whales out. They don't want people like that in the casinos because they know that kids in year 12 are coming in losing money because they've got kind of, you know, brain rotted by online gambling already, and they don't know how a casino works.
Yeah, and look, if all of this doesn't convince you of the benefits of our arguments, I guess what I would end with is that a palmy at my local pub fucking costs $30. But if they were able to have more people come in and have a punt, it would cross-subsidize the cost of their actual food, and my palmy would be cheaper. So
yeah, dude.
Like, there are benefits to all of this kind of stuff.
If you go to the Bellagio in Vegas, there's a bar at the main gaming floor, and it's got poker, roulette, blackjack, baccarat video terminals in front of every stool. And if you sit down at the bar and put $5 in, they'll pour you a drink. Yeah. And then they won't pour you a drink when the balance gets down to zero and you're not betting. If you sit there and bet, you will drink for free, right? You get free food, you get drinks tickets, you get tickets to the fight, you get comped rooms, you get Celine Dion tickets, so long as you sit there and keep gambling at high limits. If you have like the Australian culture, though, then no one gets anything for free. Prices go up. The number of staff they can afford to hire goes down. The quality of the venues massively decreases. Like, you know, so many Australian casinos now, I'm not going to name names, but there's a few of them that are only marginally better than some New South Wales like RSL clubs, right?
Yeah, and the problem is they can't there for longer because they're going, well, it's only another 20 cents. It's only another 20 cents. It's only another 20 cents. And they do that for 48 fucking hours.
Yeah. And the other thing for the government is like high limit betting increases your tax rev. So, you know, this is what we need to do. I mean, this would be a great policy for One Nation. Like, get into the online gambling market and say, look, gambling should be expensive. And it's the same for like every vice, right? Gambling should be expensive and rare. Pornography and sex work should be expensive and rare. You know, nicotine and alcohol, you know, should be moderately expensive and semi-frequent. Like every single vice should be regulated on that metric. And instead we get, you know, them going the other way and then just creating these perverse outcomes over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What did we miss last week? What happened when we weren't here?
I'm trying to think. I mean, there was David Farley's fuck up in Parliament, which, look, I always thought that Farley was kind of funny because everyone who was to the right of One Nation and actively hated One Nation would perpetually attack them, saying, well, One Nation's not a real party because they don't let their members pick the candidates, and it's all done from the top down, and they're running this really tight organization, and that's really bad. So, you know, you need to be more like the Liberal Party and let the candidates decide. And so One Nation did that, and they let the candidates pick. They let the members pick. The members picked Farley. The first thing Farley did is not talk about migration and then vote the wrong way on a bill. So
I don't know. I don't have that much time for him politically, but like having been in so many parliaments where you've just won and everyone's new, I have nothing but sympathy for what he did, because it used to happen all the fucking time. Like, and it always would happen under the same circumstance, which is when the Greens would do one of their dumb motions where you get so used to voting in the negative for a Greens motion that like you walk in the wrong door. And you can see it on the video. Like he walked in and he saw where everyone was sitting and he's gone, oh, it must be a Greens motion, and he's walked around. I don't think it's that big a deal. But I mean, it goes to that point I was making at the beginning that the mainstream media, the knives are out, right? And they're not just out for One Nation. Like, I mean, look at what happened with Carl, right? It's out for anyone who's not towing the Globo Homo line at this point, right?
Yeah.
They're terrified of. You go.
The Carl thing is a perfect example of what you're talking about here, and that sort of blew up on our end. Drew called me out of the blue as I was getting dinner on, and you know, in typical Drew fashion, he talks at a million miles an hour. So I had to like slow him down for a second to get my head around what was going on. But he was like, "They're gonna fucking fire Carl. You need to put a petition together. They're gonna fucking fire Carl. Can we get something together?" And I was like, "What? Hang on a second. What's going on here?"
It was a good petition, though, didn't it? Do really good numbers.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm getting a bit of petition fatigue with Revive because I didn't set it up just to be another petition org, right? I've done a few. They've really blown up. Like we're at 36,000 email subscribers now, which is massive. With zero ad spend, no institutional backing or anything like that. So that's awesome, and it's good to see. And it's good to get people into the system. It's good to point them towards MPs and different decision makers and swamp their inboxes with people saying, hey, look, fuck you, do something differently. But it does take away from some of the other things that I want to do with Revive. Like I'm trying to finalize this remittance tax policy proposal that we've all been sort of working on.
Which is great, by the way. That's an amazing
it is. And we've all been working on that in the background, but it just keeps taking a back seat because sometimes, these opportunities come up, we whack a petition together, we put up a little mini campaign, and it goes fucking ballistic. And then because Revive is just sort of, in terms of doing the admin work, is just myself at the moment, I've then got to start managing the databases and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's a curse of the success of the growth of the organization. So it's really good to see. We've now got a huge cohort of people that we can now use and point towards enemies, right? And go, this person is your enemy for XYZ reason. Here's what we want you to do to try and hold them to account. It's good to have a base to use as a megaphone when we actually launch some of our proper policy proposals that we will hope that One Nation and other right-wing parties look at and adopt. But it just takes a lot of time. And I didn't expect the Kyle one to blow up that much. I thought you might get a few hundred, right? But then, Drew is just a powerhouse, man. He puts something out there and tells the people who follow him mainly on Instagram and Facebook to sign up and take action. And they fucking do, man.
Yeah.
Like, huge.
And he's doing really well in the US right now. I'm super jealous that he got to meet Moldbug. I mean, he's got that great picture of him with Curtis Yarvin. I want to get a picture of Curtis Yarvin where we're comparing who has more beautiful hair. Hold on one sec.
That's McGowan's IED getting ready to go off.
Yeah, it's my watch. I have an alarm set for something. It's a long story why I have an alarm set for 9:08. Yeah.
He's blowing up. He's doing well. He kind of got nuked by the algo changes on X. But I think
whereas people like me did amazingly well out of it. It's so funny how it works. Like I think it's because it's like one, effort posts are now gold. So the longer your effort post, the better it is. Two, it has to be about something regionally specific. Yep. So if it's, the more regional buzzwords you put in there, the higher it gets. I had an unusually good.
Can't be overtly negative. Which is good, right? I've noticed that they are trying to nuke some of the rage, which is kind of good because it means that some of those like top shop nationalists that just want to say fuck yous to everyone.
Yeah,
just getting sort of deep. They're dying in the algo, which is good.
And they've also kind of downgraded a lot of AI content as well. So, really, really cringy AI pics and stuff are getting down boosted. But my timeline's never been better. Like, I don't think this is the best my timeline's been since.
Oh yeah, man!
I think Musk first took over.
Like people like Ian Miles Chong don't appear on my timeline anymore. All of the like third world slop accounts, traditional West, and then you look at it, it's account based in India. They don't appear anymore, so it's gotten a lot better.
I was getting the like Geo Scotty post Monjaro videos like within minutes of her putting them up, and I was like, the algorithm is working. Thank you. This is why SpaceX has a total addressable market of like $27 trillion.
People will post like AI images of Geo Scotty like with a little bit more chunk on, and I don't know. I'm going Pierce Brosnan. I'm a fan.
No, I think they're real. They were actually real
really?
From the beginning of the year. Yeah, no, they were real. And then she peptides are a wonder. They're incredible, dude. Like, if you're wondering why my shoulders aren't so big, it's GLP-1. But Everyone should get on that shit. It's
Well,
it's you know what, I actually
peptides. Well, I think I was messaging you in the group chat like 2 weeks ago. I was like, "What are peptides?" Purely because a TGA ad came up on my Facebook feed, warning me of the dangers of peptides without telling me what it is. And my first instinct, having dealt with the TGA on a raft of issues, was it must be good. I fucking want it. Like if they're telling me to be careful, just give it to me.
Yeah, you've got look. I'll send you some links to some, but there's there's some good ones. I like Semax and Selanax, the cognitive ones. They're good. I think it's ironic that just when the government starts like giving out dexamphetamine for free, some Chinese labs figure out an even better way to boost your cognitive output without having a speed hangover as well, without having that scratchy feeling like I've got cockroaches under my skin from doing too much of my Vance. Like and it's a nasal spray. Actually, I think I've got one around here. I think I have a Semax nasal spray here. They're fantastic. Everyone should get on them.
I think there's a Floyd in the chat, and she was saying, or it could be a fake Floyd, saying that the libs have collapsed on Sky News poll.
Yeah, it's Taylor. She's the new sock follower. We now have three girls in the chat. So we have Selena, Nat Libertarian, and now Taylor. So this is our third girl. 12,000 views, 3 women. This is stream of consciousness. I mean, well done, guys.
I don't even. We used to pay attention to numbers when we were pushing TLD. I've been looking back, man. We've been doing this almost a year now. When we were pushing TLD, like we were looking at. I don't even pay attention anymore. It kind of just. Once it started, getting below 20%, it was like, oh, we'll put a plug in it.
People call me about our numbers. They're like, what the fuck? I mean, and look, to be fair, our YouTube numbers are woeful, but I mean, that's because we're the format we don't appear in organic searches at all. Yeah. So we don't get any promo, and we don't put any promo behind YouTube. So, and we don't cut any videos on YouTube. So it's just the live archive. Even the fact that we get like 400 or 500 on YouTube.
Just to be clear, if anyone thinks that is like some weird sort of dark arts tactic that we're using, no, it's just because we're lazy.
It's total laziness. But also there's a weird degree of vanity. Like people go one of two ways on this. Like you either go down the path of like the Topher Field where you're like, oh, I need to like completely debase myself so I can get the numbers up and be a celebrity. Whereas my vanity about it is like the other way. Like I like the fact that I have a job in real life and I don't need to do it. I don't do this for a living. So I can then spend money on it just for the vanity of going, yeah, I've got Australia's most watched X live stream.
Yeah.
And the price is going down. It just keeps going down.
Yeah.
Well, so I think someone pointed out before that we were doing really well for $3,000, the 3,000 views, and I'd forgotten to hit the promo button. So I hit the promo button shortly after that, and like normally it would cost about $140 to get to this, but this is $70 for 13,000 views, which is like.
I mean, for me, it's just small feedback loops, right? Like where even like sort of normie level staffers watch the show, and the whole point of when we put this together and we're doing it on Spaces and stuff was we kind of were just like, well, let's just talk to the people that we usually talk to, through a medium where they can sit down at home or at work in their parliamentary suites and. At least hear from people that they know, telling them that they need to fucking turn things around.
I have no interest in growing the audience. I like talking to the people that we already know. Like that's the whole point of it, right? Like, you don't want to be one of these guys that's on there going, please buy me a coffee or whatever. I mean, see, the only guy in our scene who kind of like balances that out well is Drew, right? Like Drew never Drew mugs for money for things,
Yes.
I don't like the idea of just saying, hey, this is my job. Like that sucks. Like who wants to do this? Who wants to do this for a living? Like, I mean, I get excited about it on a Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, hey, we're going to sit down. We're going to do sock. It's like a couple of hours or whatever. Like the idea of doing it, like, because some of these guys do it every fucking day. I can't imagine doing it every fucking day. I mean, I my liver would fail because I get shit-faced when I do it. So, yeah, I think we hit a happy medium with it. There's room in the market for it. You know, we're not going to be Karl Stefanovic, but we don't need Karl Stefanovic everywhere.
No.
Taylor jumped in. He said, what's our read on New South Wales TLD situation? Dude, I haven't even paid attention to New South Wales because it's just so dire. And also, I mean, Chris Minns at this point is basically a right winger. Like, he's basically the entire right faction of the Labor Party, isn't he? Like, every time I see Chris pop up on TV, I'm like, okay, you're kind of based. Like,
New South Wales Libs are fucked. Come New South Wales election, they're completely fucked. Or half the killers that they used to have in their party are either doing the biggest stream on X in Australia or will be ensuring that the New South Wales Libs are fucked come next election.
There's only one guy in New South Wales I care about in the Libs. Anthony Roberts in Lane Cove is still a great guy. He's gone around again. I hope he gets up. That's it, really. And of course, like this week with Tina McQueen sadly dying, like everyone's been talking. Yeah. And one thing that's come out of every single conversation I've had with anyone is like the fact that, you know, Tina's wake is probably going to be the last time that the New South Wales Liberal right, that was like one of the most kind of ideological, influential forces in Australian politics for half a century.
Yep.
It'll be the last time we're all in the one room, and probably the last time the majority of them are the Liberals, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly, right?
Tina herself quit. So, yeah, I mean, there's no one in the New South Wales Libs I can even begin caring about at this point.
Like, is there anyone worth saving other than old mate Lane Cove? Probably not.
Robbo. I like Damien Tudorhope, who's their leader in the upper house, is really good. And I don't just say that because you can Google it. And he was my lawyer at ICAC maybe 2 times. That's Alistair Henskins. I don't mind him. He was also my lawyer at ICAC 1 time. Actually, sorry, no. Alistair was my lawyer twice. Damien once represented me in NCAT against David Shoebridge. Other than the 2 lawyers that have represented me and my former boss, I can't think of any New South Wales Liberals that I care about, whether or not they have seats. So, good luck, guys. Good luck. I think
you've got to look around, right? One of the things that helped the New South Wales Libs win elections that people thought they potentially weren't going to win is that they had fucking some real killers at an organizational level that knew what needed to be done to win campaigns and pick up, even if it was fucking 20 votes here and 30 votes there and enough to get you over the line in certain electorates. Those guys are gone, and some of those guys are actively working to ensure that
against you. Yeah. Some top dogs have already left. I mean, and I said this in one of my better received Substacks a few months ago. Like, I look back on my career and I wonder, to what extent was the fact that we were so good at our jobs like an actual determining factor in their downfall? Because, you know, like you said, we had killers and we killed all the opposition, and we were so good at candidate vetting the other team and our own team and making sure that no one problematic slipped through. We weren't looking at the people who were passing muster, and we weren't looking at the candidates with all green lights and going, wait a second, the reason they've got all green lights is because they're 24 and they've never said anything.
Useless. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think no one ever asked that question for like 10 years that I was doing it. And then when everything turns to shit, we sit around and go, oh, why did that happen? Why does the Liberal Party suck? And like, I do think, and like, it's one of those, you know, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail kind of propositions. But just from the perspective as someone who did opposition research for the Liberals for a long time, I wonder the extent to which how good we were at being fuckwits wasn't a factor in creating their ultimate undoing. But you just got to move forward. Fuck it. TLD, it's done. They're over.
Yeah, exactly.
Find a new party. There'll be a new party that we can do it to. I mean, I smash the One Nation guys all the time about how shit their vetting is, and everyone knows that Ashby's fucking vetting app is bullshit. Like, it's not real. It's fucking science fiction shit. But I almost hope that they don't do it. Like, I knew that they didn't have it, and then they said, "Oh, we've got this super secret software we're using to vet everyone." And I took one look at it and I went, "No, you don't. Like, that's a lie. Like, you made that up." Because I have all the super secret software that does it, and there's no way you could afford it. But I actually hope that they don't have it, because over the long term, like, politics is going to be better if you do have that negative tension. Like, you have some character. Like, it's going to be better to clean up after the bad guys that could have good parts to them than just go in there with clean skins that know nothing, do nothing, say nothing. Yeah. I think
everyone's asking us to talk about Community Strong.
Oh, yeah, Community Strong. I'm just going back to this. Iron Deficiency Anima says John's eyes are slightly Asian. Like, it's because I'm fat, dude. It's got nothing to do with my ethnicity. Actually, I do have an Asian uncle, but I don't think he's a blood relation. Uncle Lester from
Anime Rapist or whatever the name is going to now put that in a Substack article as a big exclusive. I'm secretly Asian. Well, it was only a while ago they were all trying to say I was Jewish, so Jewish Asian. Community Strong. Look, have fun, I guess. I don't know. Like, I said, I might have just not paid enough attention and just fired from the hip without thinking. But when it got announced, and they said that they're going to target sort of, One Nation voters, I said, what One Nation voter is going to vote for Community Strong? And someone whose opinion I respect quite a lot responded saying, actually, be surprised. Like, there are people in Warringah and surrounds who are sort of instinctively voting for One Nation at the moment, or supporting One Nation at the moment, because of TLD, but inherently are not One Nation types, and they actually could get picked up by Community Strong. So, I don't know. It might actually be more effective than we're giving. It might be more effective than we're saying.
I could totally see like a dark teal kind of movement emerging. Like, I mean, and look, it's going to have to be dudes. Like, this is the thing, and this is the thing that holds the teals back, is they have this like first preference for femininity, where they have to get girls in. You look at Pocock. I mean, Pocock's a cuck, but he has this like, what's the meme like? What's that? You're either a good cunt or a bad cunt meme, And I think someone did a soy jack. I think Sir Walter did a soy jack of it this week. Like, Pocock has that kind of, guy who listens to Abby Chatfield's boyfriend's band kind of vibe. Yeah. Like, I could see a generation of like dude teals capitalizing on that. Like, I could see a dark teal movement emerging. And look, if it was intellectual enough, I mean, I'd probably even back it. But, is it going to? Probably fucking not. Like, they suck too much. I mean, Rangry Ranger just said, Turnbull was a dark teal, if we're being honest.
Exactly. He was the original dark teal.
Yeah. Yeah, the original dark
I don't know. Like, it's all just
I don't know.
A bit of a laugh. It's going to be funny seeing what happens. I think that they'll be more effective than people estimate, but I don't think that they're going to recreate sort of the teal wave that we saw in the past.
The reason I think they're going to be effective is because I've spoken to guys who were working for them, one of whom now works for Labor,
right,
who was telling me that the whole reason they're doing it, and the reason why some of them jumped in on it and others didn't, is it's all about money.
Yeah.
And the whole reason Community Strong exists is because that High Court case. And for the grommets in the chat, I mean, this goes to your favourite topic, which is the White Australia Party. You know, on the whole freedom of political communication front, the fact that the High Court affirmed Albo's donation caps, which has really badly damaged the Teals, who I think they're now capped at is it 500,000 per seat? I think is the cap. Yeah. Yeah, it's about that. So they can no longer. I mean, some of those seats cost like $1 million. Like Allegra Spender, I think spent about 1.3 million in the last election. So that's what
you could get away with a $500,000 spend in a regional seat. That's sort of what it used to be, but now it's even a regional seat's gone higher.
Dude, I have like because I'm autistic and I keep all this stuff. Like I know that when my first ever campaign. I was senior enough in head office to be able to get access to this stuff, which would have been 2010, so 16 years ago, that key seat spending was $180,000 in 2016.
Yeah.
And then it jumped to 300,000, and everyone was like, whoa, it's getting expensive. And then between 2013 and 2019, 22, 25,
really or more. Yeah.
Well, when we're looking at $1 million per seat, and you know the major parties were really smart by capping at 90 million because they understand they understand digital spend. I mean, the interesting question is going to be. I have no idea about the last campaign. I was the point from which the 2025 campaign was farthest from. Like, I have a reasonable amount of intel on what went on in the 22 campaign, and I was literally in every campaign before that. But so I have no idea what went on in 25. But, you know, they would waste so much money, like on direct mail, on stuff they didn't have to spend on, like overspending on core flutes, overspending on outdoor advertising.
Like, one of my side hustles is in selling advertising, or specifically advertising assets. And the Libs, for instance, they booked BVOD ads. So for people who don't know the lingo, BVOD is by
BVOD's.
And so if you're watching like 7 May, 10
Nine Honey.
Yeah, your LG TV or your Samsung TV.
Yeah.
The ads that you get there, those are BVOD ads, and you can get them pretty cheap. Like you can get them as low as
NITV is BVOD as well, which is great if you're a mining company and you're trying to do a community engagement plan in an Aboriginal land council because NITV ads count.
So depending on the scale of your budget, you can get them for as less than $50 per 1,000 plays, not 1,000 views, 1,000 plays, which is fucking heaps, right?
Yeah,
and you can geo-target them and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I know for a fact that the Libs were paying over 100 the same assets, and some of them were appearing, like a lot of them were appearing out of electorate. So you had like ads for Scott Young, who was in Bennelong, appearing in Bondi.
Yeah.
Right, and
that happened heaps. I saw that in the one before in 22.
Yeah, it was just sloppy, man. The worst examples I saw was content on billboards, digital billboards, about Victorian election issues appearing in Queensland, right? Like it was. So I don't know who was in charge of managing the ad budgets. I don't know who was in charge of dealing with all that kind of stuff. They were fucking retarded.
It's because both major parties have built up this crust over the years of kind of very influential people who do outdoor advertising and do direct mail. And so you just have to, like, they just think like, oh, we have to do it. I tell you a really funny story about outdoor advertising from years ago. It was a different company. I can't remember the company that it was called back then, but the one that used to do all the outdoor, like bus stop side outdoor ads all over Sydney. They had their account manager in Sydney was this beautiful girl. Like she was She was so fucking hot. She was like a 10. She'd been taking me out to dinner for a couple of weeks. And so I was doing campaign plans for like, I mean, at that time, like 2016, 2017, we were doing like 3-4 campaigns a month. And so because of her, I was front loading all my campaign advertising spend on outdoor advertising. And I'd gotten away with it for a while. And then one day, I think Mark Texter had been auditing our campaign spending allocations, and he lost his fucking shit at me. And he said, "Why the fuck are you spending $300,000 on outdoor advertising for this?" And I was like, And so I got out the prospectus from the company, and I was going, well, according to all the audited viewer data, like 1 million fucking people see it, and Tex said, "Fuck off, come with me." And so we at that time we were working down at the old Goldfields house in Circular Quay. And so we walked out the front, and around the back, you know where like Neptune's restaurant is, there's like a little park bench, and there is one of those signs.
Yeah.
And he got out of his desk one of those like clickers, like that you click numbers with. And he made me sit on the bench for an hour, and he said, click every time a person walks past that sign. Yeah. And I was like, you had to do what he said because his name was on the company. And so I sat there for an hour and I clicked it. Now, you would think in a city, like a massive city like Sydney, how many people do you think would walk past an ad like that in 1 hour, right? You would think intuitively, 10,000 people.
Yeah,
like maybe 1,000 or so. It was 300 people.
Yeah,
right?
And how many of them?
Exactly. And so I looked at it, and I was for an hour, and I went, and this is like a high traffic street in Circular Quay, and I went, 300 per day, and I was like, oh shit, yeah. Now you extrapolate that out across the entire country, across like every billboard, every outdoor advertising space, and you realize what a massive fucking ripoff it is. And everyone just lies about it.
Candidates like it because they get to see their face up there.
Yeah.
Campaign managers
because they're looking for it.
Yeah,
because it's affirmative bias. Yeah, because they're looking for it. But the average punter doesn't know.
Campaign managers like it because they get to point the candidate at the thing that they got for them, right? And then get the kudos that way. And they don't think outside the box. So I put a massive proposal together for a rafter parties ahead of the last election, and I was going heavy on in-game ads. And I was giving them the data on this. I was going, guys, what you need to understand is you've got all these mums that are sitting at home, and young guys as well. But it's actually mainly some of the cohorts you need to pick up votes on. They're sitting at home. They're playing fucking Candy Crush, and in order
that's a huge one.
In order to get XP points, one of the things you can offer them is if they're not paying like for a subscription, they have to watch an ad, and it's only 30 seconds long, but they have to play it. They cannot skip it. Right? It's not like a YouTube ad where after the first 5 seconds you skip it. So for 30 seconds, you've got a captured audience of someone who's used to staring at their fucking phone all night, right? And it's not restricted by the kind of restrictions that you get with advertising on TV. So you can say whatever the fuck you want. You can geo-target it. You can target demographics. So you can go, I only want to hit fucking white women named Karen in this particular area, in this particular age group. And you have a captured audience, and it costs a fraction of what it will cost you to put a print billboard up in an electorate. But they just want billboards because the candidate.
Oh, I know.
It's like it is insane, man.
I did it last year in Tasmania because, like, when I was running, because a lot of my friends like chipped in money for it just for a joke, and so I bought one. I bought a digital billboard for what I could afford one day. And it was so cool. Like it's so cool when you do it. But like I knew in my heart of hearts, I was like, this is like such a fucking waste of money. I should be promoting Facebook posts. I shouldn't be fucking doing it. But I mean, and again, this is like a trap. I think this is going to be a big trap for One Nation to fall into. Because I know they own a lot of those kind of advertising assets. You know, it ties into some of the stuff on Carl, all the advertising stuff. Because like this is what my next Substack's about. Because it's such a niche thing that I don't think many people know about, but actually how TV ratings in Australia are done, right? So
yes, total
it's about 10. they're total fucking horseshit, dude. 10 years ago, Channel 7, Channel 9, and Channel 10 bought or created a company called OzTam, which replaced Nielsen. And I mean, Nielsen are one of the most respected ratings companies in the world. Number one, number two is Kantar. They don't fuck around because, I mean, the total addressable market for advertising in Australia is $30 billion. So, like, you need a good, independent, audited source of data on how many eyeballs your content is reaching when you're doing $30 billion. Do you know what the percentage of that $30 billion TV advertising is in Australia? No. $3 billion. $3 billion. So TV advertising spend, and like you said about the BVOD ads, how cheap they are. There is, across every single jurisdiction, all the Win users, Southern Cross users, regional outlets, Sky, Nine Honey, it's $3 billion is the gross out of a TAM of $30 billion for all advertising in the country. And so OzTam, because of that, they got away with starting their own ratings agency. They initially put it out to tender in 2018. And for a little while there, Nielsen actually subcontracted to them. But then they've invented their own thing. And no one knows how it works. So when they talk about their TV ratings, it's based off 3,500 viewers who have set-top boxes that track their viewership patterns, right? 3,500 people. And if you ring up OzTam, because this is theoretically a product that you can buy, but I try to do this all the time just to fuck with them. You ring them up and say you're a potential client. Can you audit the sample? They will never let you do it.
Right.
You're not allowed to audit it. So no one knows who that sample really is. It's probably the same fucking sample from 20 years ago because the numbers aren't moving. But you can prove that so if you look at OzTam's numbers, they tell you 88% of Australians watch broadcast television every day. 88%. Now, to all the sociopaths in the chat, post whether or not you watched broadcast television today, because I'm willing to bet that 88% of you did not, right? But we can compare it to a comparable jurisdiction because in New Zealand, their TV is totally different to ours. So TVNZ is, and this is something that One Nation really needs to look at now they've locked themselves into this ABC thing. TVNZ used to be a public broadcaster. It's now a commercialized public broadcaster the same way that SBS is. So TVNZ runs ads and they give the dividends back to the government. Because of that, the New Zealand government runs a ratings agency. So you can Google New Zealand TV ratings, and in New Zealand, the numbers you get are provided by the fucking government. Now, do you know how many New Zealanders watch TV every night? 47%. So the Australian broadcast media sector wants us to believe that double the number of Australians watch free-to-air television as New Zealanders. Does that sound right to you? I actually think it's a legitimately big issue because, like, at the end of the day, these guys are lying to their shareholders. Like, more so Channel 9. I mean, Channel 7, the shareholders Stokes, so it doesn't matter that much. But, I mean, Channel 10 is foreign-owned, right? And if you go back and you look at the S1 filing for the sale of Channel 10 to Paramount in the United States, they use OzTam figures to justify the value of the sale. Imagine being like a fucking US hedge fund guy who, you know, bought that pup and plowed money into the sale, and it was all predicated on a lie. And this is, to go back to the beginning of the show, this is why Karl Stefanovic is getting the fuck out of television.
Yeah, exactly.
No one is watching it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But by the time a lot of these campaign guys are going to figure that out, like they will have spent an additional round of tens of millions of dollars on dying media that doesn't fucking matter. And you know, there are a couple of good guys that get it. Not all of you. I've always got to preface this crap, but the vast majority don't. And my hope is that some of them watch this show and listen to some of the numbers we were throwing out there and realize that there are better ways to campaign and there are better ways to park your campaign spends where you can have captured audiences and actually really have, you know, instead of having 4 or 5 highly produced, over-polished, over-boardroom edited campaign videos where some dude at, you know, TG who doesn't know his ass from his elbow gives you something for 50 grand to put on TV. Have 100 shitty fucking campaign videos and then target them out to the different cohorts you need to flip votes, right? And do it through things like in-game ads, BVOD ads, and a whole raft of social media as well, and a whole raft of other tricky ways that you can get eyes on your message that has 100 different variations to appeal to 100 different cohorts in this country, right?
Or do what Donald Trump did, and instead of having 100 different in-house made ads, effectively crowdsource them from your audience, because your own people are going to be making content. And so if any of your own people make good content, put the money behind that content. Don't even make the content yourself, right? Cut out the middleman and the middleman of the middleman, right? So the only vendor-client relationship you need in a campaign now is the media buy. And so, you know, if an anon makes a good edit, repost the edit and then promote that from your official channel. So now you've just saved on your production costs, your focus groups, because the focus group is how well the original edit did. And when the central campaign is retweeting the post that the anon did, not for money, but just because they love you. I mean, did you ever hear about a single person making a fucking fash wave edit for Donald Trump or Nigel Farage, who turned around and said, "Oh, you boosted that and you co-opted it. I want $350 an hour." Like, no one's ever done that. It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So you can cut out so much extraneous spending by just working with your online audience. And like, you know, if we look at the grommets who are, you know, yelling and screaming about One Nation not being based enough and saying that anons are going to, you know, move the dial, like, to an extent they are right, but that's how they move the dial. Right. Yeah. You don't move the dial by bitching and moaning and counter signaling the only viable political operation in your country. You move the dial when you produce content to support it and they put money behind it.
Yeah. Right? And as anecdotal examples, like last election, you had people sitting around in fucking boardrooms for weeks on end, coming up with concepts for campaign videos, and then the different firms that they hired would spend another 2 weeks putting together different drafts. Then they would have another boardroom meeting and they would see if the messaging was okay. And then they'd get concerns about that. And they would try and change the final call to action or the final, you know, closing argument in the last part of the 30-second ad. And they would spend 6 to 8 weeks trying to massage those 3 or 4 different campaign ads. Meanwhile, we were firing out ads that were just like ripping like True Blue by ripping True Blue and then getting film archive footage of Australia before Star Wars people arrived. And it was outperforming their stuff with a budget.
I got to play this.
Okay.
I got to play this right now. Hang on. Oh, you guys ready? Hold up. I got to turn the volume, mate.
Fuel stop. A strong country needs... Well, Australia's on the world stage this week. Back at home, we've got a plan to get Australia back on the front foot.
Oh, my God.
When inflation goes up, your tax cuts should go up too. Our tax back guarantee will give you $250 in year 1 and more than $1,000 in year 4.
Labor's toxic taxes deserve a red card, and that's exactly what we'll give them.
Can't run out of fuel halfway through the match.
Look at Brian.
A strong country needs a strong defence. We'll lift defence spending to at least 3% of GDP and strengthen Australia against global threats. Small businesses need the right gear to grow. That's why we're introducing the $50,000 instant asset write-off.
Helping small businesses to invest, expand, and create jobs.
A good team needs a sound plan.
That's why we'll establish the Future Generations Fund to pay down Labor's $1 trillion debt and invest in the infrastructure that Australia needs.
Australia's worth fighting for.
I'm going to kill myself. So, like, okay, I need an autism here. So I need
How good is it? How good is it?
people need to understand how long it took for that idea to go from concept to fruition, given it's the coalition, right?
Yeah, I know.
And that's what they came. That was the final.
That was what they came up with. I bet they had to buy the uniforms for everyone.
Yeah, they had to buy the uniforms. They had to speak to a lawyer to see if they could actually feasibly use the Waka Waka song by Shakira, or if that would actually land them in hot water. That took a week or two for the solicitor to come back. It probably cost $3,000 to $5,000. They had to get all of they had to punch up the lines. They got a staffer to talk about 3% of GDP and not actually pause to think if the average voter knows what the fuck that actually means and how that's going to move a vote. They then got Angus Taylor, and the dude filming it told him to knee the ball instead of fucking kicking it. Right?
It just looks so bad.
And then someone in LibHQ sent a check to some fucknose for probably $10,000 at a minimum for that.
Taylor says it probably costed $1 million. Honestly, I would probably think that would be like reasonably close when you add up how much all of that cost. Like, and because they are promoting the fuck out of it too. Like,
right, yeah, no, I'm not factoring in the cost to boost it. I'm just talking about just the raw editing cost, right? Like, you don't understand how creamed these people get.
Yeah. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy that even happened. I mean,
well, and I know why they've done it, right? They did it because the Vic Libs did that video with Jess Wilson in a swimsuit, right?
Yeah, but that was Jess Wilson in a swimsuit.
Yeah. So that was like so the Jess Wilson in the swimsuit video. It wasn't actually like I don't know anyone who liked the video, but I know a lot of people who didn't hate it. And the Libs are so used to losing right now that for them, not hating them is considered a win, right? So then the guys at the federal level have gone, let's copy this video where people didn't actively hate Jess Wilson and have Angus Taylor knee a fucking soccer ball.
The worst part is they dropped it, and then 2 days later, the polling numbers moved 2%. So you just know that in LibHQ, like, they're all sitting there going, it was the soccer ad. We won it because of the soccer ad.
Yeah. 100%.
The soccer ad did it. So there's going to be more soccer ads now. I know the way the Liberals think. Like, 2% bounce after the soccer ad. Four more soccer ads.
Operative. Like, if I, Geordies, if you're watching this video or one of these Labor campaign guys, if I was watching this, if I saw that video and I wanted to tank Angus Taylor's vote, I would just clip up the footage of him kneeing the soccer ball and then run that footage in every electorate where people watch one ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Goodbye, Carlton. Goodbye, Drummoyne.
Teaching Albo how to kick a soccer ball, and you would go, okay, Albo, kick it, get it on camera. Good, it went into the goal. That's going to be the clip of you, and then we're going to juxtapose it with Angus Taylor kneeing it, right? And then,
but here's the thing, right?
You would just go Australia under Labor, Albo kicking into the fucking net, Australia under Angus Taylor, and a fart sound as he fucking knees it.
So we've been joking about the kneeing on the soccer ball for like a couple of minutes after I played it. Now, we got enough guys in the chat to actually do a proper focus group. This was always the thing you would do in real life focus groups with ads, right? Now that the dust has settled and we've taken the piss out of the superficialities, who can name one thing that they said in the ad? if any of you can quote nearly verbatim, if someone puts it up now, and I'll know if you cheated and then you rewatched it, if anyone can, in the next 60 seconds, post something from the 30-second mark of that ad that they said, I will mail you one of my campaign core flutes from last year.
Yeah, Zoom is saying Waka, which is the name of the song. So
Waka. So Zoom's takeaway is Waka. All right.
Zoom's takeaway is that it's a Shakira song, right?
Hey, Conquer the World got a Waka Waka AA. So he's paying attention, right? Tom remembered red card Labor's toxic taxes. That's because a woman said it, and she didn't look terrible, right? There you go. Someone blew a whistle, but you can't name who. This is what everyone's getting out of it. I mean, what we're doing right now would normally cost the Liberals about $40,000. So I hope they're watching. Like, this is your focus group. This is what everyone took out of your bullshit ad. Well done. You know, this is why D. Madigan is rich. Yeah, right. This is why the Gruen transfer exists, and you guys aren't meeting that threshold because you suck.
Like Sherry Markson's father is a squillionaire. Gilded and goes, all right, don't knee a fucking soccer ball. That's it.
Sherry Markson's father has tunnels under his house because he knows not to knee a
gold line.
Yeah,
lined in gold, right?
There's a skeleton in Shari Markson's father's basement wearing a Spider-Man costume because he knows that you don't do that. That was really bad. I probably have to edit that one out.
Oh man,
how bad is it though? Like
I didn't think I was gonna like have a meltdown like that. I'm used to seeing kind of sloppy ads. Like I remember the AI video they did of like to try and plug the fuel excise cut, where someone went into a servo and then filled up a Formula One car with BP 98, which doesn't make sense. It just was whatever, that kind of makes your eyes roll. That was pain.
Thing is, like with ads, you just have to understand what the average punter is actually consuming. And average punters now, like they are making ads like it's 2008, right? Yeah. That ad, like we are taking the piss out of it now in 2026. But if that ad had have been cut in 2008, that would have been like on the like iconic political ads of our time. Like that would have been like Gough Whitlam, It's Time level ad quality in 2008. They don't understand how far the market has moved and how much people's consumption of media has changed and what their expectations of political collateral actually are. Like
just to
more people.
You go, mate. Sorry.
More people would be willing to watch a 30-second vertical of us talking about it than would be willing to watch that ad.
For zero.
Like if you just saw two fat guys with beards taking the piss out of that ad on your timeline as you're scrolling through. Actually, you know what? We should actually do this experiment. We should clip our live reaction to that ad and then put the same amount of money behind it as an experiment to say, guys, what
are we doing here? Well, just to really spurg out about this, and to go back to your 2008 analogy, that song that they were playing as the World Cup song came out almost 20 years ago. And Shakira, who sings that song, has a new fucking World Cup song. So, for the current World Cup. So if you're trying to laugh as soccer fans to appeal to the ball appreciators, right? Then you would use the current song that is currently being fucking used.
Yeah,
for the World Cup.
And this is the crazy thing. It's such a 10-year-old logic. Do they not realize that you can use licensed music in content now, so long as you are not doing it for broadcast or linear? tonight, I don't know if you guys were like watching when I do the 15-minute intro. I threw up a song at the beginning, and it's like a synthwave edit of the Neon Genesis Evangelion song that I pulled off YouTube. I think it's on YouTube from 6 years ago with 40,000 views. When I put that up on our live stream on YouTube, that song is already credited, and that artist has probably made like 7 cents from, I mean, actually, probably more. Probably like now we're at 20,000 views for the whole stream. Like, by tomorrow, that artist will make like $7 from that song. You don't need to worry about licensing for songs anymore. You only need to worry about the political blowback in case the artist comes out and sledges you for it, right?
Yeah.
That's how music licensing works now. The days of you needing to get a release form, like you could use Dire Straits' Land Down Under in an ad on a YouTube video, and like it would be totally kosher because Dire Straits still makes the fucking money. YouTube doesn't. Like, they could do a DCMA takedown notice, but if you used the actual like video, they make the money. So you haven't broken any laws. You haven't done anything wrong. Like, yeah, they do the takedown notice after a couple of days, but the days of people caring about this stuff are over. Like, I don't know.
Exactly, man.
Guys, it's now 10 o'clock, and we've had a fun night. I think we are going to jump off. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for a Brian and John special event. Thank you to all our regulars who tuned in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which has like 10 fucking subscribers. just like and just subscribe to us on X. It's easier. And we'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys. Stay conscious and all that.
Stay conscious. I'm going to play us out because I've been doing outro videos lately.
No. Wow.
Yeah, I do anime outro videos. So I did like a fucking couple of Neon Genesis ones. I got a new one this week.
Nice.
Like an anime credits that I roll up at the end. Yeah, I think it's a cool aesthetic. But thank you, brother. We will talk soon, and we'll see everyone next week. Stay conscious.
Hey there, little